Dr. Bryson here with a video about determinism and free will as related to criminology. Determinism is the idea that our behavior is shaped by influences that are psychological, sociological, and biological. Now, some of the theories that fall under one of those three categories believe more in free will or accept free will, but that determinism is the idea that there are factors that lead to our behavior and that certain factors are more likely to lead to criminal behavior than others. And if that being true, then that means that the person is not necessarily making a free choice. What appears to be a free choice is determined by these other factors. An example for criminology would be one of the biological theories. So let's say frontal lobe damage. We know that individuals with frontal lobe damage are more likely to engage in particular behaviors than those who do not have frontal lobe damage. So from a deterministic perspective, we would say that it's the frontal lobe damage, not the free choice of the individual, that is causing the maladaptive behavior. Now, some other words that you might hear related to determinism, one is fate. Now, fate is not going to be used in a scientific context. Positivism might be another word that you hear instead of determinism. Positivism is basically the scientific concept that says we are able to find laws of nature. For instance, Newton's law of gravity, that what goes up must come down. That is a law of nature. So it is a positivist assumption that if I throw something in the air, 100% of the time, it's going to fall back down to the ground. The law of equal but opposite force is the law that helps us understand the transcendence of gravity. So gravity is a force. To escape gravity, there has to be an equal but opposite force. See, that's positivism. So the idea of determinism or positivism is that the person is not making a free choice to engage in crime, but that all of these other factors lead them to engaging in crime, and it appears as though they're making a free choice. Now, the flip side to that coin is free will. Free will says that we're able to make choices on our own, and that these other factors do not require that we make a particular choice. For instance, I actually was able to observe a group therapy setting in a prison once, where a particular group member was arguing with the therapist that she had to be an addict and a criminal because of what she went through. And the therapist then said, well, if going through that means you have to be an addict and a criminal, then therapy can't change any of that because you have to. So maybe you don't need to come to group anymore. That particular group member left group, but came back the very next time and stated that they had thought about it and realized that, yes, all of those contextual factors had made it more likely that she would make the wrong choices, but that she still had choices to make. So free will is, I can make different choices. Determinism is, it might look like I'm making a free will choice, but I'm really not. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but we're not going to talk about that this video. We're going to end this one with a free will poem by Robert Frost. It's important to understand this concept by Frost as we seek our own personal growth, But Frost is getting to the idea of free will in this poem. It's called The Road Not Taken. Two roads diverged in the yellow wood. Sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Though Frost is saying he made a choice to take the road that, in his view, appeared less traveled. In other words, he took the path that appeared the hardest. And because he took that path, that's made all the difference. So free will, but also choosing the more difficult path, the one that might not be the easiest for me. That's what Frost is getting at here. So, do criminals do it because it is determined by their circumstances that they will become criminals? Do they have the free choice? You decide. Or maybe not, depending on which way you believe. We'll see you next video.